Hi there. I'm going back to the second thing you were supposed to do. First, you were supposed to reply to a discussion. And the number one rule, the one difference between equations and inequalities is to flip the sign. When do you flip the sign? When multiplying, say it with me, or dividing by a negative number. That is it. Good. So, and then you were supposed to complete these review problems. So for this one, you should have gotten x is greater than 4. Here we go. We had to divide by a -3, and a negative over negative is positive, and you had to flip the sign. Number 2, I got x is less than 7. Now, I added a positive 10 and brought the x's on the left and took the numbers on the right. You could have solved it a different way, and you should have gotten then 7 is greater than x. Both of these are correct. The alligator, is eating the bigger number. Here it's eating the 7. Here it's eating the 7. And then either answer you get, this is what your graph looks like. It would be an open circle because it's just greater than or less than. And then you are shading to the left. This can be tricky when you have the first one, the one in red, but a rule of thumb is always double check it. So for example, if I shaded to the left, I shaded over, let's say, the 5. So you could plug it in. Is 7 greater than 5? Yes, it is. Is 5 less than 7? Yes. So that's just another way to check to make sure you're graphing in the right direction. Okay, let me go back a page. Let's look at this problem. So we're going to continue with inequalities. So let's say, imagine that you are helping plan the 8th grade formal, and it will take at least 100 people to make the dance profitable. So in order for it to be student council, that's what I'm thinking, in order for student council to be able to have the dance, they have to sell at least 100 tickets or they're going to lose money. But building safety code prohibits more than 500 occupants. So we're going to figure out what type of inequality will model this. So let's focus on at least. At least 100 people. So let's let x equal the number of people. To say at least, that means it has to be 100 or more. So it would be greater than or equal to. X has to be greater than or equal to 100 because it has to be at least 100 people, but it can't be more than 500. So to be more than 500, that's 500 or less. Now, we can't stop here because we need more clarification. Because if I would say this is the answer, well, I would say to you, well, then 20 people can go to the dance because it fits in that one. But it also has to fit in both of them. It has to fit in this inequality and this inequality. So in order to signify that, we put the word and in. This becomes our and inequality. And inequality is when you're trying to find a number that fits both inequalities. We write it like this. A lot of the times you're not going to see it like this. You're going to see it, and this is going to hopefully trigger some memories here from Algebra 1. We write it like this with the x in the middle. So we have x is greater than 500, but we also have to represent x is less than 500. We also have to represent x is greater than or equal to 100. So what we can do is we just turn it around. Here's the x. We flip the sign, and we make it 100. And that's exactly what this is saying. X has to be between 100 and 500. Now I'm missing something, guys. Right there. All right. So this is our inequality with and, because it has to fit both. It has a minimum and a maximum value that it can be. All right. So this is our and. So before we go on to the next one, let's talk about inequality with and. We have to be able to solve inequalities with and. So here's this one. So we have this problem. Okay. We want it to get x alone. this is the same as, look, if I have this inequality, or if I have this inequality, it's the two together. And either when you're looking at, if you look at the one in the red, what are we going to do first? We're going to add 10. If you look for the one in the green, what are we going to do first? We're going to add 10. So we're going to solve them both at the same time. Okay, so let's do that. Let's add 10 to both. Add 10, add 10, add 10. So here we get 6. Bring down the sign, less than negative 6x. Bring down the sign, 24. And now we're just going to divide everything by negative 6. Now remember, we divided by negative, so we have to flip the sign. So we get negative 1. Flip the sign is greater than x. Flip the sign, negative 4. All right? So I hope this is bringing stuff back. Let's go ahead and graph it. So the graph, see how the answer has a starting point and a stopping point? It's fitting in between these two numbers. That's what your graph looks like. So you're going to go to negative 4. That's going to be a closed circle. You're going to go to negative 1. That's going to be an open circle, and you're shading everything in between. Okay? So we're going to stop here, go on to the next slide, and try a practice problem.